Morning, folks. So, what is the meaning of life and why do we exist? And why is this crucial question so uninteresting to most people? Well, I suspect it's because they are subconsciously already aware of the answer and it terrifies them. So I explain what I think is the simplest and most logical reason for existence, and this theory answers the following questions. Why does the universe exist? Why do I exist? Who or what am I? And where am I? What is Earth? So the thesis of this video is that if God is life, then God is reproducing. As below, so above. This is the law of universality. It says that all of reality operates under the same rules. It says that reality is a fractal. Occam's razor, or parsimony, is one of the foundational principles of science. It says that more straightforward explanations are, in general, better. That is, if you have two possible theories that fit all the available evidence, then the best theory is the one with the fewer moving parts. Universality is the most parsimonious understanding of reality. It tells us that we can find the answers to the biggest questions of existence by just looking at nature. It says that the laws of nature we observe are universal and apply at all levels of reality. So, by some very simple logic, we can discover the purpose of existence. God is life. God is the principal, archetype, or perfect model of life. In the Tao, Yang is life and Yin is death. The creator is the great Yang, the provider of all and the source of life. And all life reproduces. In nature, we know that this happens, and all living things have babies. And having babies is the entire focus of life. Reproductive success is the mark of evolutionary fitness. It's what nature selects for. All living things work to maximise their reproductive success by maximising the well-being of their offspring. So, God is reproducing. The implication is clear. All life reproduces. Reproduction is the purpose of all life in nature. As below, so above. The purpose of creation is so that God can reproduce. So we are God's offspring. We are baby gods. Well, why would we think that humans were God's children and not, say, whales or dolphins? Are humans special? Well, we have reason and conscience, and these give us access to God's mind. So, why would we have that if we weren't God's children? That's the only logical explanation. To have the same mind as a human, you have to be a human. But maybe whales and dolphins have it too, I don't know. Animals do seem to have reason. Chimps show evidence of having a conscience and knowing right from wrong, at least in their social context. Even if they didn't, that doesn't mean they lack their own kind of wisdom. Animals are much more connected to nature than we are, and they know many things that we don't. Traditional wisdom has always held that humans do have a special place as God's finest creation, however. We do have the de facto power of control over the whole of our environment that other creatures don't have. It's possible only humans have the ability to clean their souls enough to leave the wheel of incarnation, the power of gardening, if you like. We've got the power of gardening on the outside, and so we have it on the inside too. And it's possible that the Hindu notion of the progression of souls through various forms towards perfection is correct. It's possible. So we're God's children, but we're immature, and Earth is a nursery for immature spirits. And this is the simplest, most parsimonious explanation for existence. The satisfaction of parenthood. Children provide the meaning and purpose in our human existence as they do for all creatures. The parent works to provide for their family, and the satisfaction they receive in return makes them happy. There are no words to describe the immense joy in caring for and seeing your children grow up. It completes the circuit of life, and the electricity of love flows, and it's an amazing thing. Babies are incredibly cute. Selflessly caring for the innocent brings joy, because it puts us in the yang mind of the parent, like God. But ungrateful kids who refuse to grow up are not so cute. And children have to grow up. God is a spirit, you are a spirit, so only your spirit is relevant. Your body, feelings and thoughts are not you. It's your will that has to change, nothing else. The other things are just context in which you can learn to perfect your will. You have to desire to grow up, to know the whole truth about life, and to take responsibility for your own process of enlightenment. The ideology of thinking that you're a good person is totally poisonous to spiritual development. No one on earth is good in comparison to God, and God is the only measure of goodness. Thinking you're already grown up is what's preventing people from growing up. And Jesus said, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except for God." None of us are currently good enough to even just leave this kindergarten, because we can't control ourselves. We all allow our spirits to be driven by our bodily urges. We wallow in self-indulgent egotism. We work to fulfill our physical desires instead of working to overcome them. Our bodies and our egos are the test we have to overcome in order to leave the wheel of incarnation and to become immortal. We have to exercise mastery over them by exercising our own will. God's natural order is that will leads and body follows, but the order in humans is that the body leads and the will follows that. So, until you can achieve this within yourself, then the natural order is inverted inside you, and you are against nature, unnatural, disharmonious, lawless, unruly, and a danger to yourself and others. And this is the sad truth of the human condition. You wouldn't let a 3-year-old toddler fly an airplane, and we're all 3-year-olds, and the airplane is freedom. If we were given that much freedom, we'd do some serious damage. So, God can reproduce. The idea that God could actually reproduce doesn't seem to appear in any religion I'm aware of, but it does seem to be the obvious and logical answer to the question of why anything exists. Some might argue that it's impossible because God is one, and if there were 2 gods the same, then wouldn't God be 2? And God is everything, and if there were 2 gods, then neither of those could be everything. But from the perspective of this creation that we're in, there's only one God who is everything to it. But there's nothing to preclude there being many truly infinite gods, each creating their own universes in parallel with our Creator. They could all be related to each other and potentially all unique, just like members of a family. We've no knowledge of anything outside this universe, so we can't discount that possibility. If logic remains true throughout all of reality, then there would have to be one great-grandparent of all God who had no beginning, because this is kind of, it's a natural conclusion of cause and effect, because one cause can have many effects, and every effect can only have one cause, so there has to be an original cause. But we've no reason to think there couldn't be other gods who did have a beginning that are his children. Also, this whole hypothetical family of gods could still be one, in the sense that they all have the same will, i.e. to reproduce accurately, and to create more out of love for life. They could have a unity of purpose, which is to share the same will and desires, but they could perhaps have different methods. So, this is a terrifying promise and a terrifying threat as well. If this is true, and it is possible for God to accurately reproduce independent offspring who will grow up to be just like him, and we are God's children, so we personally could or should grow up to be like God, then I personally find that idea terrifying. I don't like it at all. That much responsibility sounds like a nightmare to me, so I'm not proposing this out of any ideological desire, because I don't have one. It just seems logical. I really don't think I'd want to be God. I suppose any more than a toddler wants to be dad. It's too much work and responsibility. The idea that I'd have to spend 100% of my time looking after other people and have no time for cigarettes and alcohol, I find seriously unappealing. I'm still pretty selfish. I really don't want to be that selfless, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because I think it is the natural course for humans, to overcome their selfishness. Anyway, so it's a terrifying theory, that our destiny is to grow up to be like God. But the alternative, I think it's actually worse. Because if you fail the test of life, you have to go through the brain smasher, as Graham Hancock's latest book talks about. After death, the unworthy souls have their memories and mind destroyed prior to reincarnation. You get another chance to pass the test, but you lose everything you ever had, except for your will, the fire element. Body, emotions and memories are all destroyed. In Graham Hancock's thing, it's about the Egyptian Duat, their beliefs, and also the South American beliefs. I think it's South American. He's saying that they basically had the same beliefs about the afterlife, the brain smasher. So you get another chance, but as a blank slate and as a defenceless baby, starting from scratch all over again. And the world is getting worse and the future looks bleak. Do you really want to be reborn here as a baby under the coming totalitarian world government? I don't, particularly. I think I've made that clear. So in summary, God created the universe in order to reproduce, and we are God's immature children. Life is a moral education and a test of virtue. The purpose of nature is to raise and train new spirits to know right from wrong. Those who fail the test are reincarnated. People who don't overcome the lower self, the ego, are reincarnated when they die. They're given another chance at passing the test, but their memory is erased and they have to start again as babies. And those who pass the test graduate to the next level of reality. They get to escape the wheel of incarnation, mortality and death, and they become immortal and truly alive. They go to heaven, which is potentially the Yang universe, to be in paradise at God's side. And the path to heaven is paved with virtue, independence, honesty, humility, diligence and love. And that basically covers the theory. Let me know what you think, guys. Leave me a comment. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you soon. Take care.